Sometimes a moment seems like an eternity, and sometimes an eternity just passes like a moment. Time is relative and is an illusion of your mind. No, this is not from Einstein's theory of special relativity, and definitely not a dialogue from the Interstellar movie. These words are said by Vasishtha Maharshi to Bhagavan Sri Ram as part of Yoga Vasistham, where he explains the features of space-time and how they play illusion on a human mind. To be precise, the third book of Yoga Vasistham, in the 60th chapter, that's where he explains about space, time, and how it has impacted the entire creation. Kshanaswapne bhavet kalpaha kalpascha bhavati kshanaha. The time varies from person to person, and even in just one person, depending on your state of mind, time stretches and squeezes. These are literally the words of Vasishtha Maharshi from Yoga Vasistham explaining about space-time. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is, as a civilization in Bharat, we have incredible understanding about time. And I'm not talking about some mystical, metaphysical explanations in some ancient scriptures. Actually, we have these units of time well defined and still being used today as part of the religious activities. And a very commonsensical point is, we don't define a unit of time unless it matters to us, right? So here are certain units of time which have been in use in Bharat since many centuries. Starting from Truti, 29 milliseconds, and we have Prana for 4 seconds, Vinadi, 24 seconds, and it goes on all the above, Nadi, Muhurta, Yama, up until the highest level, Kalpa, which is some millions and millions of solar years that we have today. So this quick snap is to reinforce my statement that Bharat has an incredible understanding about time computation and the whole subject of time. But today we are not going to discuss about the scientific aspects of time, but to understand the theological and the philosophical significance of time in Bharat. Kalah Kalayatamaham. And this is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. I am the time and I control everything in this universe. In Bharat, time has always been considered as one of the manifestations of the Supreme Being, which is Brahman. And all the creation, sustenance and dissolution happens in time. And as from a spiritual standpoint, since creation, sustenance and dissolution are considered to be transient, and all this transience happens in time, and that is the reason why time itself is considered as an illusion. And to break the illusion, two very powerful manifestations of the Supreme Being, Kalabhairava and Mahakali, the god of time and death, they are revered as the ultimate liberators from this illusion of time. So in simple words, the culture of Bharat realizes that time itself is an illusion, and the whole tradition revolves around liberation from this illusion of time, and that's where Kalabhairava and Mahakali are revered as the supreme gurus who can pull people out of this vicious circle of creation, sustenance and dissolution which are encompassed in that shell of time. And in this whole process of understanding the illusions of time and the cycle of creation, sustenance and dissolution, and eventually to break from this vicious circle and attain liberation, Kalika Devi is revered as the supreme guru who guides the way out of this illusion towards liberation. And this is a very huge learning process. And as part of this learning process, there are 10 further incarnations of Kalika Devi as Dasa Mahavidya. Vidya as the word we know. Vidya is coming from the root word Vid, which means to know, knowledge. The word Vedas, Vidya, all these are from one root word Vid, which means to learn. And this learning process of breaking out the illusion of time is very huge, and there are 10 different learning paths, which is called as Dasa Mahavidya, 10 incarnations of Kalika Devi herself, teaching out different aspects of life. And this short video is about Dasa Mahavidya, the 10 forms of Kali. Starting with the first Dasa Mahavidya, it is Mahakali, the ultimate form of Brahman. She is the devourer of time and death, and she is the supreme guru of the Kundalini Yoga, guiding to a state beyond pain and pleasure, the most stable state of the human mind. And what you're seeing down below is called as Kaali yantra, which is a two-dimensional geometrical structure representing Mahakali. Now that is a very deep subject in its own right, but the point I would like to make here is the structure of this yantra has a very deep spiritual meaning associated with the format of energy here, which is Mahakali. And one more very important topic is Kalika Devi always is portrayed naked, and this has to be understood in right connotation. Imagine a mother who just gave birth to her child, a little boy. Now that little boy was part of the body of the mother for 9 months. And there is no question of materialistic nakedness between the mother and the child in the womb of the mother. In fact, the child is part of the mother's body. There is no two different entities, it's one and the same. It's just the mother and the child in her womb. Exactly in that same connotation, people who worship Kalika Devi as Amman, as the mother goddess, and her nakedness represents the exact nakedness of a mother carrying a child in her womb or in her arms, breastfeeding him or her. So that is the connotation in which people revere Kalika Devi in the way she is portrayed here. The second Dasa Mahavidya is Tara Devi, and she is a format of Saraswati Devi. She is revered as the guru that blesses with all the knowledge and wisdom needed to live a happy and peaceful life, and eventually to attain liberation. And all the Mahavidyas, what they carry in their arms. So for instance, here Tara Devi carries a bowl and a scissor. They have a very deep theological and spiritual significance, but we'll limit ourselves. If you're interested, you can do your reading to understand the significance of each of these, why they carry those, and why they are portrayed in a specific manner. The third Mahavidya is Chinnamasta Devi, a very horrifying manifestation of Adishakti cutting her own head and holding it in her left arm, while 3 jets of blood oozes out of her body. This is definitely very graphic when seen from a materialistic perspective, but there is a very deep spiritual meaning associated with this manifestation of Chinnamasta Devi. Firstly, the head. Why the head is severed? Because the head represents the highest form of the ego of a person, and ego is considered as the strongest and the biggest impediment in the path of learning. So if one has to really succeed in his or her own learning experience, one has to overcome the ego in first place. And the severed head of Chinnamasta Devi represents the ego that one has to let go. And the 3 jets of blood represents the 3 core energy channels of a human body, Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. It's actually part of the larger corpus of Kundalini Yoga. But coming to the point, Chinnamasta Devi, she is revered as one of the spiritual gurus of Kundalini Yoga. And her nakedness should also be understood in the same connotation which I just explained, an identity beyond all the materialistic aspects of life. The next Mahavidya is Shodashi. She is the guru of the topmost state of human mind, which is called as Turiya. As per the neurosciences, human mind has 5 states of consciousness: alpha, beta, gamma, theta and delta. These states classify the human state of mind while we are asleep or in deep sleep or in the state of dreaming or awake. So different states of minds are identified with these 5 states of mind as per the neurosciences. Same way, and much before this classification, in Bharat, the human mind is classified into 4 states: Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and Turiya, the 4 states. Jagrat is awake, Swapna is a dreaming state of mind, Sushupti is a deep sleep without any dreams, and the 4th one is Turiya, the ultimate form or the most equilibrium state of mind. And Shodashi is revered as the guru of that state of mind, the most equilibrium state of mind. Up next is Bhuvaneshwari, the mother goddess of all the 5 elements of nature and everything on earth. She is the chief patron of all the materialistic things in this world. Also, she is revered as the Mahamaya, the great illusion. Because from a spiritual standpoint, the materialistic things or the 5 elements of nature which comprise everything in this world in itself is the root cause for all the illusion. So that's how it is understood. And she is the guru of that dimension of spiritual awakening where you experience the materialistic things and eventually realize that they are part of the larger illusion. And the next Mahavidya is Tripurabhairavi. She is the mother goddess of dissolution, death and liberation. And she is also one of the most fiercest manifestations of Adishakti in the form of Agni or fire. She is also represented in a very horrifying manner, but the maternal protectiveness or the protection from a mother towards a child who is slipping towards ignorance and everything negative in life, how a mother tries to protect such kind of a child. Her horrifying portrayal is also understood in the same connotation. The next Mahavidya is Dhumavati. She is the mother goddess of detachment, hunger, sorrow, and suffering. She is a guru who teaches to go beyond the deceptive outward appearances and let us focus on the inner self. Dhumavati, as you can see, the portrayal is very unpleasant, but that's the real fact of life. She is a guru who teaches and represents the erosive power of time that robs us of loved ones, of our own youthful strength and vitality, of our health, and of whatever else contributes to our fragile happiness. Everything that we so desperately cling on to in this materialistic world is inherently very transient. And that realization is taught by Dhumavati Devi, an incarnation of Adishakti herself. And the next Mahavidya is Bagalamukhi. She is the guru of right speech, and she is the one who will paralyze the evil thoughts and talks. A guru who gives power to dominate enemies, mastering all situations and obstacles in life. As you can see how she is portrayed, holding the tongue of the Asura in left hand and about to hit on the head with a club. She is revered as the guru who gives the right thoughts and eventually converting those thoughts into speech. Because no matter whatever in life that you see, it boils down to the way you speak. That's where we make a lot of friends and enemies. So she is revered as the mother goddess of how to speak and what to speak and what not to speak, which are the most outward elements of knowledge and wisdom. And the next Mahavidya is Matangi. She is the mother goddess of spiritual knowledge, and she is a form of a tantric Saraswati. And she is also revered as the mother of all the inauspiciousness and unpleasantness in life. In simple words, the good times and bad times both teach lessons in life. So she represents all the lessons that the bad times in life teach us. And that is Matangi. 10th and the last Mahavidya is Kamalatmika, the mother goddess of beauty, prosperity, knowledge, and eternal happiness. She is revered as Tantrika Sri Mahalakshmi, which is a format of Sri Mahalakshmi in the Tantric traditions, who blesses with all the materialistic happiness as well as the spiritual awakening. And that's a very quick outlook on all the Dasa Mahavidyas, the 10 spiritual gurus, which are the incarnations of Kaali herself, who teaches how to break out of this eternal illusion of creation, sustenance, and dissolution encapsulated in the time. In fact, the name for time in Bharat is called as Kala, and hence the name Kaali, who breaks through the time itself. Dasa Mahavidya is not for general public. It is rarely practiced because of the hues of occult nature of worship here, for a good reason. So Dasa Mahavidya is always practiced under a Siddha Guru and not practiced individually, just like how we worship at home. Also, Dasa Mahavidya is a very ancient format of worship of Adi Shakti, which is generally we don't see it in anywhere in the general public. But yes, all these 10 incarnations of the mother goddess Kaali were highly revered and followed in Bharat since many centuries. And this is the story of the Dasa Mahavidya, the 10 forms of Kaali. While most of the Dasa Mahavidyas are very horrifying or graphic in nature or difficult to digest or rather unpleasant in the outward appearances, the underlying theme is one and the same for all. And this just one word from Lalita Sahasranamam explains about the whole theme of Dasa Mahavidyas. It's called as Abrahma Kita Janani, which means the mother of everything and everyone in this nature and cosmos, who takes care of each and every one of us as her dear children. Wishing you all, your family and friends, her divine blessings on this Vijayadashami. And as always, thanks for watching.